Good morning, everyone. I'm Vicki Sims. Yeah, the Executive Director of the Gallenberg Convention and Visitors Bureau, and we've got a few more that will be joining us that are supposed to be here, but we know everybody's time is valuable, so we don't want to hold everybody up, so we're going to go ahead and get started. First off, I'd just like to thank you all for being here. Number one, this is the first event of our Earth Week. Earth Week's been going on now for, gosh, what is this, our ninth annual Earth Week. And we started it 9 years ago with the intent of educating not only the business community but the community and the visitors with various different programs throughout the week. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit later about the different things that are coming up. But today is basically our first event of the week, and it's a wonderful presentation that I'm sure that you're going to take a lot away from in regards to the Green Power Switch, which several years ago when we first started talking about green education with the business community, one of the things that we first did was we joined partnership with Superior County Electric and began a push to get our business community on board with the Green Power Switch. And we'd like to reinvigorate that program and get more people involved. As you all know, new people come in and people go out, and so we want to let you all learn a little bit more about the program and then get you all to help us spread the word about it. I also want to thank the Hilton Garden Inn for this wonderful breakfast and the great setup that they have here. Logan Corkendall and Melissa Keith and the whole group here at Hilton Garden Inn always do a great job. And I also want to thank staff. Our event staff has been working tirelessly for the last couple of months. We just came off of a major event with Winefest and now right into Earth Week, and they're not stopping. They're going and getting it done, and I appreciate them so much for doing that. Also, just want to thank Christy Cagle Brooks, who I'm going to introduce here in just a minute, with TVA, and Keep Severe Beautiful. Thank you, Laura. Thank you for being here. There's information set up out in the hallway that you all are welcome to pick up on your way out. Information from Keep Severe Beautiful, from TVA, also from our events that are coming up. So I invite you to grab some of that on your way out. And as I said, I'll be telling you a little bit more about the week's programs at the end of the program. But right now, it's my pleasure to introduce to you Christy Cagle Brooks, who is the Program Manager for Energy Utilization. That's a big word in the morning after you've had a Starbucks. Utilization and Marketing for the Northeast District of the Tennessee Valley. She manages the relationships with 23 local power companies in her district, along with the promotion and implementation of TVA's Energy Right Solutions. She's also involved with renewable programs in the residential, commercial, and industrial sectors. She's responsible for keeping local power companies informed of any changes in the program, as well as answering questions that they may have. She and her colleagues act as consultants on behalf of TVA and the $11 billion revenue generated in part by the local power contracts. It's her job to make sure that the local power companies remain content and loyal so that they will continue to purchase their power from TVA. And I think that one of the things that our power company has really been excited about, of course, is the Green Power Switch. And with that being said, it's my pleasure again to introduce to you Christy Cagle Brooks. Christy?
Thank you guys for having me this morning. I'm going to start my presentation off by discussing who TVA is, why we have a suite of renewables programs, because not only are we going to discuss Green Power Switch, but I'm also going to discuss our Green Power Providers programs, our Renewable Standard Offer, our SSI program, and a couple of our energy efficiency programs, because all of these go hand in hand if you're wanting to be sustainable. So I'm going to start off by discussing TVA on a large scale. We were created in 1933 by FDR, and we were tasked with meeting several needs in the valley. We were to be a low-cost power provider. We were tasked with meeting the environmental stewardship needs of the valley, managing the river, assisting with economic development, and being a technological innovator. And so we summarize those as being the 3's. We meet the electrical needs, the environmental needs, and economic needs of the valley. Do any of you guys work with Andy Lawson? Have you heard of Andy Lawson? Have any of you taken advantage of the Valley Investment Initiative? That's okay if you haven't and you're interested. We can discuss that after this. How we sort of ensure that we're meeting those electrical needs, we have an integrated resource plan. Have any of you guys heard of our integrated resource plan? Our first one we released in March of 2011. We're currently working on our second one. We plan to release it in 2015. We've had a few stakeholder meetings. We had our first one in Knoxville probably in January of this year. This ensures that we meet the electrical needs of the valley utilizing a balanced generation portfolio, so we meet those needs, again, in a cost-effective way. If you are interested in the work that we're doing with the Integrated Resource Plan, because we do want public input, if you go to TVA.com and there's a search engine and you put Integrated Resource Plan, it will pull up our old Integrated Resource Plan, and it will provide you with an email address where you can email your thoughts. If renewables, if you want to see us do more renewables, less renewables, more nuclear, less nuclear, this will provide you a place to give your thoughts in the generation you want to see us do in the valley. Because again, we do want to have stakeholder input. So as part of the Integrated Resource Plan, it prescribed sort of a gauge of the amount of renewables that we should have, and that gauge was between 1,600, I do apologize, between 1,600 and 2,000 megawatts. And we currently have 1,644 megawatts of capacity that's been added since 2011. And if you look at this slide, it's probably a little confusing because if you look at the total operating, it says 6,343 megawatts. And you may be asking, how is the IRP renewable operating capacity 1,644 megawatts? And that is because we're only allowed to count the megawatts that have been added since the IRP was released in 2011. And so since the IRP was released in 2011, we've got the 1,644 megawatts of capacity. So we're within that IRP range. And so it's going to be interesting to see what the recommendation will be in 2015, if it's going to be more, if it's going to be less. And the same holds true with energy efficiency. And so like I did mention, we do have a suite of renewables programs. And if you looked at it like a scale, it's supply and demand. And so on the supply side, we've got green power providers, the Solar Solutions Initiative, and renewable standard offer, as well as dispersed power production. And then on the demand side, you've got green power switch. Have any of you heard of any of these programs? I know you've heard of at least green power switch. So for supply, with green power providers, that is our small scale residential commercial program where you get paid a premium plus the retail rate. The smallest size that we'll accept is half of a kilowatt up to 50 kilowatts. The current rate is 4 cents plus the retail rate for solar, 3 cents plus the retail rate for wind, hydro, and biogas. And there is a capacity cap. And so the capacity cap for 2014 was 10 megawatts. 40% of that, or 4 megawatts, was residential. 60%, or 6 megawatts, was commercial. I will say we've got a dashboard, so if you're interested in applying this year, there is a process. You would need to reach out to your local power company. If you live, work, play or have a business in this area, that would be Sevier County Electric System, and you would need to talk to Lucas Harkle Road. The first step is completing a capacity reservation request form because you need to reserve your capacity. We are completely full for non-residential, but we do have a wait list, and we've got a little bit of capacity left on the wait list, and it's first come, first served for non-residential. For residential, when I looked this morning, we had roughly 600 kilowatts left, and again, it's first come, first served. You get a $1,000 incentive for residential. We no longer offer that incentive for non-residential because for commercial installations, you can qualify for other federal incentives that you can't qualify for on the residential side. So we are continuing to incentivize on the residential just to decrease that cost of the installation. So that's the first program. Then two of the larger programs would be the Solar Solutions Initiative and the Renewable Standard Offer. The Renewable Standard Offer, it's 50 kilowatts to 20 megawatts, and the application fee is different. You can either interconnect to TVA or interconnect directly to a local power company. If you're going to connect to a local power company, you need to contact them first and get an interconnection application, and then you can apply to us. The application fee is a little bit more, and it's a little bit more laborious because we do have to ensure that you have a credit worthiness, because we, with the Renewable Standard Offer and Solar Solutions Initiative, we make these part of our generation portfolio. So if you aren't able to produce that electricity, then you have to pay us X amount. So you have to make a deposit to ensure that you are going to be able to generate. If you have a megawatt site, then you have to ensure that you're going to be able to generate that 1 megawatt of electricity. So it's a little different than the green power providers because we don't make that green power providers part of our generation portfolio. The green power providers systems, that's the supply for the green power switch demand, if that makes sense. The Solar Solutions Initiative, and for Renewable Standard Offer, we pay market price, and it's a 20-year power purchase agreement. For the Solar Solutions Initiative, it's a pricing overlay, and it's pure solar, and it's for 10 years, and you have to use a local NAB/SEB certified installer because it's to help with economic development in the valley. And so you get paid an additional amount to that market price. And then if you wanted to do a system greater than 20 megawatts, then you would go through the dispersed power production or one of our other unsolicited proposals. Do you have any questions on the supply side for our generation, if you're interested in renewables? Yes, no, maybe? I know there's a lot of firms with sustainability goals, and so there's interest in these programs. Yes, ma'am.
I know that the city of Knoxville installed solar panels on top of their convention center. Which one did they fall into?
They went through green power providers. And they went through Generation Partners before we decreased the size because they have a site that's not, they actually have two on the convention center. And they have a smaller one that's roughly 20 kilowatts, and they have one that's almost 93. Mm-hmm. And Generation Partners has had 3 iterations. It was up to 1 megawatt, then we decreased it to 200 kilowatts, and then when we made it an actual program, because Generation Partners was the pilot, when we transitioned to green power providers, we decreased the size to 50 kilowatts. So, and the city of Knoxville, it's gone down in some of. I'm going to discuss this at a later point, but we'll go ahead and discuss it now. With renewable generation, a lot of individuals don't realize this, but there's 2 products. And with our power purchase agreements, TVA purchases both of them. If you have a solar array, not only are you generating electricity, but there are environmental attributes that are associated with that generation, and TVA purchases both of those. And so Knoxville also has a solar array at Market Square Garage, and they have one at the Coliseum Garage. And with both of those, they wanted to be able to claim that those solar arrays, because they're connected to charging stations, that those charging stations they had no impact on the environment. So they were having, like, the carbon footprint was 0. So to be able to claim that, because with both of those solar arrays, they participate in our programs, they have to purchase green power switch blocks. Because we are purchasing that energy, and we're also purchasing all those environmental attributes. And those environmental attributes, of course, we sell their green power switch. And so we were able to calculate based on the size, because both of those solar arrays are smaller, they're like 3.17 kilowatts. We were able to calculate, like, annually you're going to generate X amount of kilowatt hours, so you need to purchase X amount of green power switch blocks annually to be able to make that claim. And so a lot of people do not realize that A, there's two separate products, and then B, in our power purchase agreements, TVA purchases both of those. Any other questions? Okay, and then, thank you, it's a perfect segue into the demand, because with Green Power Switch, when you purchase those Green Power Switch blocks, Green Power Switch, it's a 150 kilowatt hour block of energy, it's $4 per block, and this is an add-on to your electric bill. And the people that purchase these blocks of energy, it's residential customers, it's commercial entities who want to support the renewables in the valley. They want to see it grow. They may have a sustainability initiative. Our largest purchaser is the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. The reason they purchase so many blocks is because they've got an entire sustainability plan. It's like a campus roadmap that states that they want to have 30% of their energy by the year 2020 come from renewable sources. So to help meet that goal, they did a cost-benefit analysis, because they could either throw up a lot of solar arrays and go behind the meter and not have them go through our program, or they could purchase a lot of renewable energy credits through either our program or there are other national dealers. There's a company called Sterling in the Midwest where you could purchase a lot of wind credits for like $1. And a REC is 1 megawatt hour of energy. And so to put that in perspective, ours is $4 for a 150 kilowatt hour block. And the reason ours is a premium is because you're getting the generation in the valley from green power providers. And so we're paying some of that generation. At one time we were paying 12 cents plus the retail rate, so that's roughly 21 cents per kilowatt hour for that solar. And now it's 4 cents plus the retail rate, so it's about 13 to 14 cents, depending on if it's a commercial or residential customer. So UT, to help meet that 30% goal, they're purchasing our green power switch blocks. Now UT is unique because we have 2 pilot programs because we're trying to become more competitive. We realize that we've lost sales to other entities who sell these blocks because ours are priced at a premium. So we've got 2 pilot programs that we're piloting with 6 local power companies. One is a pure solar block that's $8 for 50 kilowatt hours. That's pure solar, and that's a niche market that we have sold some of those blocks because we're just testing it to see how effective it would be. And the second one is a Southeastern REX block, and it's $3 for per megawatt hour. So, or $3 per REC. And so that is a minimum purchase, and UT is one of the purchasers for that. UT, DOE, Pellissippi, and it's been rather effective because, again, we are trying to become more competitive. We hope to make the Southeastern REX a mainstream product, but we're still piloting it, and so to be continued. Hopefully I can come back in a couple of years and tell you that's part of our offering with Green Power Switch. So what is renewable energy? And I imagine you guys can answer this better than me, but it's renewable energy production that's sustainable and it's replenished naturally. And we launched Green Power Switch in April of 2000, and when we launched it, it was the first program in the Southeast of its kind. Like I mentioned, we are testing 2 pilots. We began that test and we launched it in 2012. It combined, we've sold roughly 127,000 megawatt hours, and the solar pilot hasn't been as effective as we thought, but we have sold some blocks. But it's $8 per 50 kilowatt hour, so it is a niche product and it does have a premium price. So, do any of you guys purchase Green Power Source blocks? Besides the chamber? Purchase? No, that's okay. I hate to put you on the spot. I like to be a little interactive with my presentations. So how, if you were interested in purchasing any of the blocks, how would it work? You would contact either your local power company, or if you go to our website, tva.com, you can do a search for Green Power Switch. There is an enrollment card online. We ensure that we have the equivalent of renewable energy, because one of the questions I get asked a lot is, how do we know that you're not counting that same 500 kilowatt hours of renewable energy? We have a third party who checks us. And so all of our energy is Greenie certified. It's sort of our good housekeeping seal of approval. And it's through the Center for Resource Solutions out of California. And so they ensure that if we sell 500 kilowatt hours of energy, that we retire that 500 kilowatt hours of renewables, so we can't sell it anymore. Does that make sense? Any questions?
Just to clarify, so if you purchase 150 kilowatts of the green energy, you then are required not to sell 150 kilowatts of the non-renewable. Is that right?
If we sold you 150 kilowatt hours of renewables from a solar, because we've got various solar arrays, and we've got a couple of wind turbines and one hydro in our Green Power Providers program. If we sold you 150 kilowatt hours, we would have to take 150 kilowatt hours of our renewable generation and retire that, so it's no longer available. So if we had 1,000 kilowatt hours of renewables available, we'd have to subtract 150 kilowatts. And then whatever we have left is what we have. So if we had 1,000 and we sold you 500, we'd only have 500 left to sell. Does that make sense?
I think so. But okay, so you're always producing electricity from these green resources. Is that accurate?
Yes.
So whether or not it's being sold, you're producing that electricity.
Exactly.
So basically, by us buying it, I'm sorry, I'm slow. Basically, by us buying it, we're ensuring that you're going to continue to go through those green resources. Because you're always producing it, whether or not I've bought it.
You know what? Let me.
I'm sorry, I just was
No. I'll come back to some of these, but you were helping me segue, because part of the problem right now, because people don't understand why we have capacity caps, and the reason we've got capacity caps is because we've got more demand than we have supply, or we've got more supply than we have demand. So you are correct. You can't cut the solar array off, and we've got it's a 20-year contract. So we can't not honor that contract. And so regardless of people buying these blocks, and so part of the wonderful thing with Green Power Switch, you could purchase one block this month as a residential or commercial customer, and then decide next month you don't want to purchase that, and that's okay. The only time that we require a letter of commitment is through our Southeastern Rex pilot, and there is a minimum purchase requirement with that, because it's $3 per rec, and so the annual minimum amount, it's 2,000 recs or $6,000 minimum annual amount, and so you could do that over 12 months, or if you want to do a one-time purchase, because we've got some customers who what they want to do $6,000, give us $6,000, and that's it. The other minimums that are required, again, for commercial customers, if you're GSA 2, you have to do a minimum of 25 blocks, and this would be based on your customer class. Are any of you guys anything more than a GSA 1, or do you know?
What does that mean?
It's your customer class. Like, do you have demand charges? Do you know your bills? If you were a larger customer, like Dollar.
Customer in February.
Did you have a demand charge? If you had a demand charge, like anything above 50 kilowatts in demand would be like a GSA 2. And then Lucas could help you figure it out. or I could help,
And
just
Lucas
looking at
is
your
great.
bill. Yeah, Lucas is great, and he could help you. But again, we
It will show
don't,
on our bill,
it will show on your bill.
or it'll tell us on the bill.
It will tell you on the bill, and like GSA 3 and 4 are typically larger industrial customers. Like Dollywood would probably be a GSA 3 or a GSA 4. So most like a church is going to be a GSA. Most smaller customers, it keeps it very beautiful. It's probably a GSA 1.
I'm with Severe Solid Waste, so we're huge.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
No, you're fine. I'm in the office, so I know the second they turn a digester on, it's a huge chunk of power.
So I bet you guys are probably a GSA 30. So there is a minimum purchase requirement there for a GSA 30. In the GSA 2, there's a minimum purchase requirement of 5 blocks. But it does, you're not locked in. You don't have to do that for multiple years. And even with our Southeastern Recs, you have to do, it's like a $6,000 commitment, but you decide if you're going to do that over the year or if you're going to do it one time. But thank you, because it was a great segue into our current problem, which is we've got more supplies, we've got more renewable generation, and we've got demand. And so we're trying to increase the demand, because if we can level it out, could possibly increase those capacity caps. Because we've got a 10 megawatt capacity cap for green power providers. We've got a 100 megawatt capacity cap for renewable standard offer. And then our Solar Solutions Initiative, which was that pricing overlay to help with economic development across the valley. It is a pilot, but it's a 16 megawatt capacity cap. So this is just to illustrate the current participation rate. If you see, 67% of the participation is in the Northeast, but that's because, or 61%, I do apologize, 61% of the green power source participation is in the Northeast, but that's a huge chunk of that is because of UT, and then we're also blessed to have DOE and ORNL, and a lot of the federal facilities are required to meet federal mandates to decrease their carbon footprint by X%. So they, in turn, because we're sister companies, will purchase the green power switch blocks through our Southeastern Recs pilot. And in case you're wondering, of the 6 local power companies who decided to pilot those products, 4 of those are in the Northeast. So we have Oak Ridge, KUB, Lenore City, and then Bristol, Virginia Utilities. Don't know if you have heard, I imagine you've heard of Oak Ridge Electric Department, Lenore Cities Utility Board, and then KUB. And then, do you guys have any questions on green power providers? Because I discussed it at a really high level.
What percentage overall does green power represent of all the energy EVA buys and produces? Like is green power like 1%, 2%, 10%?
It's less than 5%.
Is there goals in the future to increase it to 10%, 20%?
We won't know until 2015 when the new integrated resource plan will be released. But if you've got thoughts on that, please go to TVA.com, and if you want me to, if you give me a business card, I can send you the link where you can share your thoughts on what you would like to see our generation portfolio look like, because we are currently taking that stakeholder feedback, because we are designing that integrated resource plan, our second one, and it will be released in 2015. So many people, like, just to summarize everything, why should you sign up? It's an easy, low-cost way to participate in renewables. It helps you reduce your environmental footprint and your carbon footprint, and it will protect our environment. So, if you've got any questions, please let me know. And then the 2 last programs I wanted to touch on. Have any of you participated in our self-audit? Have you heard about our self-audit? Thank you! 1 person! Okay, if you have, 2 people. If you haven't
And I
participated,
actually installed things I got in my conservation kit.
Aren't you proud of it?
I am,
All
because
by myself.
it takes 2 hours. I mean, okay, I'm a girl and I'm a girly girl. It took me 2 hours because all you need is a screwdriver. If you haven't done the self audit, like TVA is really serious about providing. We want you to use our product, but we want you to use it wisely. So the self audit is free. You go to energyright.com. You answer some questions about your energy consumption. If you don't have the internet, you can go see Lucas. We'll give you a version you can do a paper audit. You return it back because we even pay for your postage. We'll send you an energy kit. It's valued at $40. You implement the measures, and you're going to save some money on electricity
It's
bill.
got crate toys in it. It's got like these little styrofoam things you put around your outlets and your light switches.
Is this just for residential?
It is for residential customers, but I would imagine you're asking for your business. Are you a Sevier County customer? Okay. If you needed an energy audit, talk to Lucas or call me, and we've got a commercial program. And I hadn't planned on talking about that today, but
That's all right.
call
I
me
wish-
and we can talk.
One of our locations uses a lot of
Okay.
electricity
And depending on your demand, if you've got a minimum demand, we have another program that may be able to help you called Internog. But you've got to have a minimum of 100 kilowatts of demand. So, but with the self audit, this is for residential customers, and like Ms. Sims was saying, not only do you get those outlet covers, but you get 2 aerators to put on some faucets. You get 2 CFL covers. My favorite thing is a little whistle that you put on your air filter. It's going to whistle when it's 80% full to remind you to change it, because you really should be changing those every 30 days, because if you've got dirty air filters, it's going to cause your heat pump to work harder, and it's going to decrease the life of your heat pump and the efficiency of it. And this is free, so if you haven't done it, please do it. Any questions? Because again, if you want to be sustainable, these are little steps you can help to minimize the impact you're having on the environment. And then the last program we want to discuss is our in-home energy evaluation. If you live in Sevier County, Lucas actually administers this program locally. It's depending on where you live, you're going to have anywhere from 0 charge to 150 charge for this evaluation, but a trained evaluator is going to come out, evaluate your entire facility, give you a list of recommendations. If you implement those changes, you can get back the fee that you paid plus an additional $500. Not only are you going to save money on your electric bill, but you're going to get incentivized to save money. So do you have any questions?
The website was energyrightsolutions.com.
Energyright.com, and like Vicki mentioned, there are TVA folders and there's little flashlights, and on the flashlights it has the website. And they're LED flashlights, because again, we want to use energy wisely. So, questions?
I have a question.
No,
It
please.
might be a silly question, but
No.
when you're talking about the green power switch,
Green power switch, okay.
so to purchase these blocks, you're actually just paying a little extra, additional to the regular rate
Yes.
per the kilowatt hour that you're using. Is that correct?
It is an
It's not
add-on
like
to your
you're
bill.
just giving TVA some extra money every month. You're just, it's added to the rate everyone else pays.
Well, you're not, it's added to your bill's a line item. So it's gonna say green power switch, and if you buy 2 blocks, so you would pay $8 additional a month. So it's not added to your rate, because your rate may be 10 cents per kilowatt hour. So they wouldn't take that $8 and divide it down to add to your rate, if that makes sense.
So it's just, it's a set monthly amount?
It is a set
for
monthly
each
amount.
block? Okay.
Depending on the number of blocks. And the benefit, I mean, depending on the customer niche that you're trying to reach, you can claim, we offset X amount of our carbon footprint by purchasing these blocks. We are minimizing our impact on the environment. We're doing our part. And we're helping to support the renewable growth in the valley.
And that money is then pooled to pay for the sustainable energy that is purchased by TVA, and also to establish new
It's helping to grow renewables in the valley, yes. Any other questions?
We had, for clarification again, so we had a little girl, and she went through our neighborhood, knocked door to door, and got us all to sign up for the power switch. And she said she was a third-party person, that she wasn't with TVA, but she was like a college student doing this, probably 3
In
months ago.
August, yeah, Sevier
Okay.
County participated in a door, they tested that for us, and they actually won an award for it.
It was
For-
great. I mean, she was a great
Yeah.
seller, and she we could sign when we signed up. Instead of using the block terminology, she's like, you can offset 20% of your bill, 40%, or the highest rate, which I don't think wasn't 100%, was it? Because we're like, yeah, sign us up for that one, and we got the little signs to put on our thing. It says, we made the green power switch, but like she used it more of a percentage of your bill versus blocks, which was it like we could offset 100% of our bill or 80%. Was that
And-
right?
No, but you can, and there is a calculator, like if you wanted to do that, like as a resident, because Sevier County did participate in this innovative marketing technique, and there's 131 participating, or 131 participating power companies that participate in green power providers. We serve 155 valley-wide, and then 118 participate in green power switch. And so of the 118 participating local power companies for green power switch, Sevier County let us come in and do a door knock campaign. And so, yes, one of the effective marketing ways was to use a percentage in lieu of saying if you purchase 1 block, if you do 2 blocks. If you wanted to have that same calculation, you can go to Green Power Switch website, and we've got a calculator. They probably used just the general, like, average kilowatt hour consumption for a valley resident.
Okay.
And that's based on like a family of 4. But you know exactly how much you use each month, because again, it's gonna be on your electric bill. So if you take that kilowatt hours, put it into the calculator, it'll tell you, if you buy 1 block, you're gonna offset 20-25%. If you buy 2 blocks, you're gonna offset 30-35%. And we're actually gonna test that again in another, like in Oak Ridge's service territory, so it'll be interesting to see how effective it was. It was amazingly effective here.
I would say
We were
my
impressed.
whole neighborhood did it. I mean, all of us had the little signs and things, but.
That's wonderful to hear. And our third annual Green Power Switch Award, our third annual Green Power Switch Leadership Awards Dinner will be coming up on May 6th, and Sevier County actually won an award for that.
Oh, that's cool.
So, I'm excited.
So they're presenting it May 6th to Seminar County Electric?
Yes. And I imagine, like, we'll be sending out press releases and whatnot, so you'll probably read about it in the local paper.
Where is this year's,
It's in Oak Ridge.
is it?
Any other questions, statements? Thank you. Thank you.
But it's my pleasure right now to introduce to you Laura Howard. She's the Executive Director of Keep Sevier Beautiful. She wants to talk to you just a little bit about Keep Sevier Beautiful. And if you don't mind, Laura, if you'll just touch a little bit on what we talked just briefly. You mentioned the solid waste, severe solid waste. If you'll talk to them just a little bit about that, tell them about that, because that's a unique opportunity. I was just telling somebody the other day that if they needed mulch, that's the place to go. So I'll let you tell them a little bit about that as well. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. When I came here, Jenny asked if I would speak for a minute, and of course, I never miss an opportunity to talk about Keep Sevier Beautiful. So unfortunately, I don't have a great presentation, but I do have a beautiful PowerPoint if you guys ever do want to see it aimed toward businesses. I did leave things on your table. Vicki didn't probably realize it, but it's a great segue. Keep Sevier Beautiful, we do the marketing outreach programs for severe solid waste. And one of the things that we continually hear is that we have this great facility. It's the largest compost facility in the nation. People from all over the world actually come to see how we handle all of our municipal solid waste. And for those of you who don't know, every single thing that you throw away into your garbage can in Sevier County, and then also the entire national park, whether it's on the Tennessee side or the North Carolina side, gets taken to our compost facility. So it's very unique that every piece of garbage that you're throwing away is going into these huge digesters, and what is compostable comes out as compost, and then what is not, such as the metals and the plastics, those get landfilled. So we are actually taking 70% off of our waste and turning it into compost, which then in turn can be used for farmers and erosion control throughout southeastern United States. So it's a very unique way. We don't even have we have a class 3 landfill, which is like the landfills that most people use, but it's rarely used because we only have to use that in case our compost plant is down. So a lot of the tourists that come into our area, they constantly ask businesses, why aren't you recycling? Well, a lot of people are not doing traditional recycling because, again, we're already diverting 70% of our waste from landfills. So we're starting to work on these brochures. These are 4 businesses. We have 3 different versions, and the one I laid here is more of a technical version. But this is a resource that we do as Keep Severe Beautiful offer to businesses, so that if you are one of those attractions that constantly get asked from people, why don't you do more recycling? We actually have these. Like I said, there's 3 different versions. There's this one. There's another version that has some of the has less of the technical stuff because tourists really just want to know, do you recycle and why don't you have the typical recycling bills we're accustomed to seeing, recycling bins we're accustomed to seeing. And then we also have another one in case you are collecting plastics that talks a little more about the recycling, the sorting of the recycling. So these are great resources that we do have for businesses that a lot of people don't know, and if you need these, we have them.
Can a business get these to actually put in a small rack or something?
Yes.
In their business, so
Yes.
if somebody asks, they have that?
Yes.
Wonderful.
So that's something we are providing to try to get the word out there that we do have such a unique way of handling our waste, and that Sevier County has the highest recycling rate in East Tennessee, and a lot of people don't, or in Tennessee, the state of Tennessee, and a lot of people don't realize that. It's because of our compost plant. So that's something that we can really sell, and that's important because as studies show, more and more, our consumers are millennials, and that generation, they are demanding more and more environmental practices. And studies that have gone out, the newest studies show that they want to travel eco-friendly, they want to work for eco-friendly companies. In fact, I forget what the percentage is, it's high, but a lot of millennials are saying they'd rather not have a job than work for a company that does not practice some sustainability measures. So we know it's coming, it's getting more and more important as these generations come up. And we also know that the millennials, they have more spending money than the other generations. So it's going to be more important as ever as a tourist industry to really start practicing more of these sustainability measures as they come into our areas and they have spending money. KSB also offers the businesses recycling solutions. So if you guys do want to take the next step and do start collecting plastic recycling and things, we are a resource out there, so please don't hesitate to contact us. Again, I work with Tom and Severe Solid Waste, and between the 2 of us, we can put together whole recycling programs, whether it's at any size, whether it's a small business or a large industry. Another thing we offer is adopt a spots, and these are whether you want to adopt a road or a park or a stream. They kind of all vary from city to city. And I really encourage people, if you guys want to do something for your employees and give back to the community, this is a great way to do it. Once you determine what spot you want to adopt, we'll put up a little sign there saying that you've adopted this spot. And then the requirement is that once a month you come out and you clean up that spot. So whether it's, like I said, it's a stream or a park or a road. And we do that, we see there's a lot of employee participation, but there's a lot of benefits for your employees if you sign up for something like this. Again, studies show that it increases employee morale, it increases your retention and recruitment because you are giving back to the community. And again, people want to be a part of something bigger than just a company. They want to give back to the community. So we do have a great opportunity for that for businesses. Another thing that we do is that we partner in businesses. If your business wants to do something out there in the community, but you just don't have the manpower to put it together. A great example, I'll just do a real life example, is that UPS, as one of their goals is planting more trees and being more sustainable. And so they have just recently given us money to plant an arboretum. So they wanted to do more things right here in our community. They wanted to give back. And again, one of their focuses is truly planting more trees and reducing that footprint. So we're going to be with them building an arboretum at a Fayetteville primary school, and we're managing that whole project for them. And again, we give their employees who come out, work with us. We working together but we're just overseeing that project. So that's something, if you guys ever want to give back but you don't have manpower to coordinate a project, we're a nonprofit, so you can completely write that off as a donation. And we'll make sure that you guys get the recognition and get the nameplate. So we are that nonprofit option for you guys if you ever want to do something but just don't have the manpower to oversee it. And the last thing those are things that we can offer businesses, but I would be amiss if I walked away here without talking about litter. That's one of the things I focus on. As you guys know, we're doing a store cleanup tomorrow. And I hear it all the time about people throwing litter out outside their windows. But what many people don't realize is that people throwing garbage out their windows, it's only 30% of the litter here in Sevier County. The two main sources of litter is truly from uncovered loads. One of the things that you'll see is the cabin rental owners or the cabin rental cleaners as they're putting their trash in the back of their bags. And if you drive on the spur today, you'll see evidence of that because as you saw, if you drove in here from Pigeon Forge, you can see trash bags along the spur this morning. And again, those are not people just throwing it out their window, it's coming off the trucks. So I would encourage you guys to, if you guys do have anything like that, to make sure your loads are covered. But the number one source of litter actually is from corporations. People don't realize it, but if you look at the backs that go back to your dumpsters, a lot of places you look around your dumpsters, you'll see little debris around it, and that happens from several different ways, whether our employees are putting trash in the dumpsters or when the dumpsters get picked up and put in the garbage trucks. If you think about it, wind blows, some of that debris is going to fall out, and that's actually the number one source of litter here in our community. So I would encourage you guys to look at those areas, and if you guys don't already have a program in place to encourage your employees to take the extra 15 minutes after they throw the trash away or after your dumpster gets empty to clean up around it. And then also another large source here in our community is if you hire a contractor to blow off your parking lot, make sure that they're doing the responsible thing and coming back and picking up around that lot, because that's another one of our huge sources of litter and something that we battle here in our county. So.
And I would say, Larry, I just want to say the city of Galesburg does a great job of alerting businesses when there's troubles with their dumpsters and that they're having problems getting them in and out of their containers and things like that, and which is a big help for businesses, because when they have trouble, that's when you get the garbage on the signs and stuff like that. So they're very good about alerting us at that. So I'll commend the city on that part of it.
Our cities are amazing, and I tell you that many people just don't realize that's one of the largest sources of litter is because our cities are so great at cleaning it up for us. But we just try to educate everybody, because it'd be great if we could use those resources for the street crews and street departments and sanitation departments not picking up the litter, and they could use that money elsewhere. It'd be wonderful.
And the thing about the compost facility too, Laura, that I'd like to say is that all three cities in the county actually cooperate on that facility. That's something that they all came together to establish, and while it is located just outside of Pigeon Forge, it's all three of the cities in the county, so it's a benefit to all of us, and I think they've done a great job of keeping that facility going, so.
Yes, and if you guys don't know, if you ever need compost, that's one thing that anyone in the community, as long as if you're a Sevier County resident, you can get compost, whether you want truckloads of it for if you have a farm or property, or if you just want little bucketfuls. But you can come and get it anytime. And again, it is owned from the city and in the county, so it's a great partnership.
How does that work? Can we compost?
You can just call there, and we're open from 6 to 3:30, so you can just come by there, and if you want to get a truckload, you can just call there and ask about it, and they'll coordinate it. We have more compost than what we know to do with, so we'll gladly give it away. Yes, we process 300 tons of garbage a day, so there's 300 tons, which is the equivalent of a 747 Boeing jet. So if you think about that much garbage coming to our facility per day.
Laura, you pick it up at the composting facility?
Yes, like if you were just a little gardener and you just wanted to get a couple bucketfuls, yes, you can call and make arrangements, and you can come and get it from the compost facility. If you want truckloads, that's something that Tom would work out. But again, they've taken it as far as Florida to get compost.
What kind of precautions are taken while it's being composted to make sure there aren't any toxic materials in it?
It's tested regularly. It's a grade A compost, so it has been reached that level. Again, they test it regularly. The one thing to know about our compost is that there are little chunks of glass. Again, we take everything that's in the garbage and pushes it through the digester. So if you think about it, and it gets filtered out, there's several different points of the process that gets filtered out. But the little pieces that's smaller than your pinky fingernail piece, that's the smallest filter it goes through. So there can be chunks of glass, because as it's getting pushed into these pummels that push it into the digesters, it breaks up the glass. So you will see little chunks of glass in the compost.
But I've never seen anything very big at all.
Yeah, it's like I said, smaller than your little pinky
It's hard
fingernail.
even that it's detected as even in there. It's because of the compost and how it goes through that digester, so.
Yeah, but it is, good question, it is tested regularly to make sure it's at that grade A compost. Any other questions? Thank you, guys.
Thank you again, Laura. great partner in this week's events. I want to thank you all again for taking your time to be here. Please, as I said, go out and share the information you've gotten today with those around you.